read some articles also. So I've come across that only 35% of projects have been deemed successful, like the
Oh,
entirety of the project management space, right? So 35% is like so low, right? So even with, let's say I talk about traditional project management methods, if I talk about agile project management methods, it's just 35%. So which means that there is a very big opportunity for us as Scrum Masters, as project managers, as product owners to fill this gap and make our teams more efficient, make the project more, useful for our stakeholders and our end users. If I talk about a Scrum Master, a person who's just a coach in the basketball court, they cannot enter, they cannot do anything apart from just, managing the task. I believe these kind of things are not relevant for this current market. Why? Because let's say I just work as a project manager and I don't do anything else. That will make me irrelevant very faster, right? But
true.
apart from just being a project manager, I also like I said, right? Domain skills is very important. So how I can help the team members.
AI is no longer just a buzzword, it's reshaping industries and jobs. Project managers, scrum masters, and agile coaches are feeling the heat. Are you ready to level up your skills and become a future proof leader? Today, in this episode, we talk about essential skills you need to stay ahead of the curve. For this episode, we have Ananya Chakraborty as our guest today. Transitioning from a foundational role as a Scrum Master, Ananya honed her skills in understanding business needs as a business analyst. This unique blend of experience, coupled with her innate curiosity, led her to excel as a sought after data consultant. Today, Ananya is a portfolio manager cum data strategist who transforms complex data into actionable insights that drive business growth. So, without much ado, let's welcome Ananya.
Hello, Ananya. Welcome to the podcast by Agile Coaching Roundtable. It's a great pleasure having you on our show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi Ramya, hi Vivek. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm also very excited to be on this podcast. Actually, the first for me, so I'm really interested.
So are we. We are really excited to have a conversation with you and learn from you. Obviously, the topic for today is to understand what are the additional skill sets that are required for, say, Scrum Master or Agile Coach or maybe managers, product owners, etc. Right? So we all say that Scrum Masters and Agile Coaches are need not be technical, right? Or also only the kind of a knowledge in terms of agile space or a scrum space is enough, right? But then I know that you work in data analytics company. Obviously, you work for Fractal along with me, though we don't work in the same project, but we both share the company, right? So I know that you also worked as a Scrum Master. Now you have transitioned, into product owner plus portfolio manager or a program manager, right? So obviously, it would have been not possible without kind of upskilling yourself in terms of data analytics field, right? And so we thought of having the conversation with you on that regard. I mean, what are the skill set that are required for any mid-level manager or scrum masters, agile coaches, product owners, etc. Okay. And recently, there was this article published in Scrum Alliance, which talked about the skill set required for Scrum Master. Apart from obviously the soft skills that are required, like leadership skill, interpersonal skills, etc., etc. They classified the skill set into two categories. So one was on the interpersonal skills or like leadership skills, soft skills, and then another was functional skills. And under functional skills, they also mentioned about technical skills and data analytics specifically. So it would be a great conversation. Initiation in terms of conversation on how can such managers upskill themselves, right? So, what do you think that with the advent of, say, AI, right, in this entire scheme of things, how is AI transforming the project management space?
How is AI transforming the project management space? So in that case, what I believe is earlier you would go through like plenty of KT sessions with your team members to understand what's going on, what's not, what are the challenges and everything. So it would take a lot of time for you to adjust to the particular project you are a part of. But with implementing AI, there are plenty of things you can automate once you understand the project flow, how who are the team members, who are the stakeholders, and who are you working with, whose decision making skills are important. So once you have an understanding of that, once you try to understand how the, let's say I have been a part of all, projects wherein it's already started, it's already in execution phase. So you have to understand from that in the past how the project team members has performed, how is the project performing. So if I talk about traditional methods, it used to take a lot of time. But right now, with use of AI, I can actually, feed in the details that I've gathered from the past experiences or wherever we have recorded the details. And basis that, I can streamline it. I can, make better decisions, make better forecasts and predictions for my projects, and how I can, optimize it and make it efficient. Because what used to happen up until now is without implementation of AI in project management, only I've read some articles also. So I've come across that only 35% of projects have been deemed successful, like the
Oh,
entirety of the project management space, right? So 35% is like so low, right? So even with, let's say I talk about traditional project management methods, if I talk about agile project management methods, it's just 35%. So which means that there is a very big opportunity for us as Scrum Masters, as project managers, as product owners to fill this gap and make our teams more efficient, make the project more, useful for our stakeholders and our end users. So yeah, that is what I feel.
Yeah. Thanks, Ananya, for those insights. And maybe, to dive more deeper into that space of project management, uh, would you like to talk more, specific into the AI tools or techniques that are becoming more essential for project managers or Scrum Masters or anyone at a mid-level to talk about as an Agile coach, anyone, right? What are the tools or techniques that one should be aware about within this space?
Um, Sure, Vivek. So before jumping onto the tools, what I believe is first we need to align like which tool is useful for which particular phase of the project. As we all know, the projects is like majorly, it's a 5 phase of every project cycle. That is, we start with ideation, or I start with initiation. Then we go into planning, we go into execution, we go into monitor control, and then conclusion. Right. Most of the project are output focused, wherein we have a roadmap, we have a timeline, and we follow it, right? So now when I talk about from the initiation part, so therein what comes in handy is ideation, brainstorming, problem solving skills. In these kind of situations, what I feel is uh, tools like probably ChatGPT, Claude, perplexity, these kind of tools come really handy when you try to understand that okay, I have a problem statement, I have to understand the scope, and I have to understand that if this is this is what we're going to do, if we have the right resources, is the budget right or not. So in these kind of tools help us in brainstorming and coming up with the right project plan, project charter, and the right scope, right? So now so that's how we start with the planning. And then when we go into, sorry, not planning, am I right? It's initiation, right? When we go into planning, So planning means making the project more, how do I say it, efficient. We optimize the schedules. In those cases, there are tools like Otter.ai, we have PM Auto, we have Spinach. Plenty of websites are there which are actually AI driven project management tools that are entertaining. They have also gamified that content, which helps us plan our schedules better, along with the resources that we have. So how do I optimize the resource allocation? How do I plan my project schedules? So planning makes easier, which would probably take 1 to 2 weeks. I can actually do it in less than a week, and also discuss with our stakeholders to understand if they are on board with the plan, right? So it makes it faster. And coming on to the rest of the phases, if I talk about monitor, controlling, execution, these are tools like, let's say, I need to be data-driven project manager in today's world. I cannot just be a functional project manager, because these skills anyone can adopt. So why not we also adopt data-driven insights? So
Correct.
in that, right? So in that case, tools like Power BI, Tableau, even Excel, they can help us analyze the historical data and help us understand what are the bottlenecks and how we can execute it better. So this, of course, this will come into play after, let's say, 2 3 let's say, if I talk about in context of agile project management. So after 2 to 3 weeks of sprint, I can understand what is the velocity of my particular team members, what is the what is the cycle time, and
Lead
basis
time.
that
Okay.
I can actually. Yes. So basis that I can actually understand that, okay, this is where we are at, this is where we want to be, and discussing that these are the bottlenecks that we are having. These are the opportunities that we can make use of with our stakeholders to ensure that we work, or have make some action in time, so that later on it's just not like after, let's say, 3 months of sprint project management, we are able to say that, oh, we just were able to complete 20% of project, now what do we do? So that doesn't make sense. Rather than that, we uh, use the insights that we get from the data, or basis the sprints that has already completed. Basis that we take some actionable insights, and put it into our strategy to make our projects more successful.
Okay. So maybe you spoke about the tools like maybe the Tableau, or you spoke about Power BI, right? And these tools you mentioned that would help us in doing the data analysis. Say you want to maybe optimize the cycle time or lead time, right? For an example, you understood that okay, the lead time of say this particular work item or whatever it could be, right, is say 3 months or 2 months, whatever. Now you want to optimize it. So now you're saying that, okay, basis this prediction, now we say that, okay, currently it is taking, say, 3 months. Let us optimize it to, say, 2 months or 1 month or whatever. Now imagine that this would be true when there are no many changes in terms of what we are delivering, right? So what if there are changes, right? So if you talk in terms of project management, there is a change request that has come, right? So how do you handle such situation? How do you, I mean, do this prediction when there are too many changes? If there are, then how do you have a conversation with the stakeholders and have a negotiation in terms of maybe handling this change request using this prediction on based on the tools that we have?
Okay. So actually, Power BI and Tableau is helps us with data analysis only, basis the data that we have. But when it comes to change request and additional requirements that has come into our PT from the stakeholders, so in that case, I think there are other methods or strategies that we can implement. So how do we take a note of this is, basically, first we have to understand that our project is currently agile driven, or is it a conventional traditional project management method.
Waterfall, yeah.
uh, yes. So let's say I have to understand that if we have flexible scope, or is it more fixed. So to be honest, it is better to have a mixture of both, having a fixed as well as a variable scope, wherein there is a room for enhancement or improvement or change, so that we take into account any new trends and technologies that come into the place. So when you say that how do we handle the change requests, so to be honest, in my experience, what I've tried to understand is what are the current deliverables, how relevant they are in, like, let's say if I have the end user as our business stakeholders, I have to understand how relevant, how important they are uh, in terms of delivery, and how important or how prioritized is the change request coming from them. Is it a ad hoc request, something that not that important, or is it very important, which would be pivotal for the project that we are working for? So understanding that, discussing with them, and saying them that, let's say if they've said that this is the particular urgent request that I have for you, and the team has to work for it for probably for the next two sprints, or for the next month. So in that case, I have to make them aware that, let's say, these are the deliverables that we were planning for the upcoming review or upcoming demo. So if you are okay, then we deprioritize it and we make this changes, and then we discuss what is the impact. Let's say there is a new use case that has come which is very relevant, but for that probably we need more resources. Probably that particular use case that they are trying to make us work on, we don't have the right team member for it, so we'll have to hire. We need more budget, and probably the timelines will be impacted because the other things get down. So understanding that what is the impact, and making sure that the stakeholders also understand the impact, that how it will affect the deliverables or timeline, is, I think, is very important. So either we cut short, either we hire, and we make a informed decision that how this will, how will the project look 2 months from now. I hope it makes sense.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, absolutely, absolutely, Ananya. So, since we are talking more into the space of AI now, there is a very basic thing that I would like to understand from you, or maybe, would you like to talk in terms of the difference between, when we talk about AI, and when obviously the other aspect of when people talk about AI is also comes into the picture, is the machine learning aspect of it. How do these two things fit in the context of project management? I mean, if you can share some thoughts about it as well.
How does AI and machine learning fit into the context
Yeah,
of project management?
yeah,
So, see, to be honest, AI is the main segment, and machine learning is just a subset of it. So, when we talk about AI or artificial intelligence, it's basically creating a system that uh, helps them think like humans. How would human take decision? How would human plan things and do things better? So these AI comes in handy in project management whenever we are brainstorming. We are trying to analyze the problem, trying to understand the impact of a certain particular feature we are trying to build, something we are trying to build, and what are the opportunities, what are the threats, what are the risks that comes along with the things that we are trying to brainstorm. So AI helps us in understanding it, and probably also making us understand how viable is the solution, how feasible or usable is the solution, so that we can make informed decisions. Now, when it comes to machine learning is basically algorithms which learns on the data. So there is a training data that is provided basis that the algorithm is made so that based on the data you make some decisions like predicting, forecasting, or let's say, identifying the patterns or the trends. So that is again useful in many aspects. If I talk about sprint cycles, to understand that how efficient the team is, uh, are we, working towards the progress of the project, or is there any bottlenecks, or how do we identify the threats or the risk associated with it? So now, coming on to how it is helpful in project management, AI and machine learning, the interesting part as of now is most of the projects that I've been a part of, or the companies who are into analytics and consulting, they are all majorly AI or AI ML projects. So these are like, it's a blend. It's not a separate domain. It's a blend of domains. So it's very important for us as a project manager to understand the basics of machine learning, the basics of AI. How is it helping, right? So I mean, having functional knowledge and frameworks and how to build the project charter, how to communicate, it's very important. Of course, that's a crux of being a manager or a scrum master. But when I talk about how this can come in handy is when you're able to interact with your team members in a better way to understand what problems they're facing. For example, if I have no idea what is machine learning, someone comes and tells me that, in the reinforcement model, I can see some vector or some how do I say, using some some machine learning related terms which I don't have an idea of. They talk about cannibalization, they talk about vectorization, and I have no clue what's going on. It will be like just birds flying in the sky for me. So in that case, it's very important, if you identify that the project you are being a part of, it's an AIML project or an AI first or genAI projects. It's very important for us to understand the basics so that we can interact better and yeah, help them solve problems real time.
Absolutely. So you talked about Gen AI. That was my next question on Gen AI. So I know that you have a good hold on Gen AI and you are working on a project based on Gen AI, right? So I want to maybe understand, say when we say we are a project managers or say Scrum Masters or an Agile coaches in such data analytical projects, right? Or analytical products or service based projects, right? How are, I mean, what are all the things that a typical Scrum Master or an Agile coach or a manager must know about these Gen AI or ML or ML Ops or maybe AI, right? Data science, data engineering, right? These are different kind of streams of the data analytics, right? So, how much of a knowledge should a project manager have? As you rightly mentioned, I mean, if team members are talking about, say, data engineering or data processing, or maybe data fetching from the source and all these things, right? So if we as, say, Scrum Masters or Agile coaches or maybe project managers, if we don't understand what are they even talking about, right? So obviously we won't be able to understand or get into that milieu of the project that they are working on. And when we say that we are helping them in terms of, say, coaching or mentoring or maybe guiding them into the right direction, if we ourselves don't know what they are working on, then it would be difficult for us to even help them in their day-to-day difficulties or issues or what they are working on. So how much of that should be learned by the managers, and where is that line drawn? Okay, this is something, it's okay if you don't know even about this, but these are the things that we need to learn about it, right? So, in terms of these new things like technology, AI, data analytics, how much of an information is must for any mid-level manager?
Sure, Ramya, thanks for asking this question. To be honest, information is necessary, but first of all, it's very important for us whenever we join any GenAI first, data first, or analytics first based project. It's very important for us that when we are a part of this project, initially it's very difficult. I would say it's impossible to understand what all technical jargon these folks are using. This has happened with me when initially I joined a project. The daily stand-up started, and they used to talk random stuff that I will do this, do that, and I would be like, "What's going on?" So
I can relate to it.
yeah, so I would definitely feel like, oh my God, it's too much, or probably, you feel somewhat less intelligent than those folks who are talking in technical jargons. So in that case, what I feel is the at most important thing is understanding the domain. Let's say no matter what type of project it is, understanding the domain and what are the problem that we are trying to solve, what is the current state, is very important. Like it's first and foremost thing, because if I don't understand it, then what tools and technologies I'll apply, it is useless. So first of all, for anyone, no matter what, how much AI advances, understanding the domain and probably having a little bit of hold in the problem or the opportunities and the threats of that particular domain would help me understand how do I lead further. And in this case, I meant is there are similar projects that may be going on in your particular office, or maybe there are case studies in websites that you can go through, you can scout through, and you can understand that okay, this particular project also had this problem, and this is how they solved it. It's not required, to be honest, inherently required for a project manager to do, but as we are talking about how to evolve, which is why I thought it's very important right now. For example, if I say Rapido, Uber, and Ola, these are all similar project-based case studies, right? So if I'm trying to becoming a project manager of Rapido, probably I can delve into other similar projects and understand that what they are trying to do, how they are trying to innovate, and I can come up with some ideas which I can discuss further with my stakeholders, right? Second thing is, see, like you said, there should be a fine line where we draw that this is what I need to know. So when I talk about this is what I need to know in terms of technical aspect, we have to understand the basics of machine learning, basics of GenAI, or let's say if it's a GenAI first based project, it's very important that you understand how prompt engineering works, that how to devise the prompts, not only for the project, also for the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. That okay, let's say you give a scenario that I'm a project manager working for X and Y project. They are having ABC problems, and we are trying to solve this. So how do I make it more effective? Because as a project manager, we are made to ensure that the output that we try to generate, it comes out in the uh, as soon as possible, as correctly as possible, and we interact with the stakeholder to ensure that we are building the right product or the service or the project or whatever you say. Because as the managers, mid-level managers, we are prompted to work in multiple projects. It can be anything, right? It can be B2B, it can be B2C. So basis that, I also have to understand what are the end user problems. So understanding who is the customer and who is the user. So not thinking from the customer point of view, but rather from the end user point of view, that whatever we are trying to solve, are we on the right track, right? So in that case, like I said, first is domain understanding so that I can come up with the right use cases. Prompt engineering skills that will be helpful not only in GenAI based project, but also data analytics and AI first project, AI ML projects, because uh, for me, it's not important to understand the technical or the complex concepts. It's rather I understand like how it is, how I can simplify it. Because uh, if I am also a clueless mid-level manager, there will be stakeholders there. They are even further more clueless. So how do I make it simpler for them? So it is, the idea is to make it simple for everyone. So prompt engineering is definitely very important for us to master the skill and be more effective as not only project manager, also as communicators, having improvised soft skills. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe, Vivek, I have just a follow-up question. So since you mentioned about maybe you were like really new and even you didn't understand, just like me, right? So when I had joined Fractal and when the daily scrum was happening and people are just throwing jargons from the science and from say AI, ML, I was literally clueless. I mean, what is going around? What are the things that I need to understand? So I literally sat down a team member to understand, okay, you tell me the architecture, what is going on, what does this do, what does that do, to understand this, at least try to have my footsteps into this new world for me, right? And similarly, as you mentioned, it was new for you as well. So now, what I want to understand is out of curiosity. You were like such a newbie where you also didn't understand things like that. To now, you have kind of launched your own course on Coursera, right? Related to this Gen AI, and you're like on the data consultant for Gen AI, right? So, how did you kind of upskill yourself in such a short period? Plus, how did you manage to have that knowledge enough that you can create your own course? It takes a lot of learning, definitely, to understand this new stuff and also ace it so that you, as you rightly mentioned, from if you are like a clueless mid-level manager, how can you kind of make other people's life easy so that they get it in a simpler manner? So, how was that journey like? How did you learn those many things and how did you understand and create that course in the first place?
Uh, sure. So, see, basically, what I always try to do, this is like my mantra. If I have to enter a project or understand any concept, I try to make it more relatable, or I try to, how do I say this? I make it more relatable for me. For example, when I was understanding, like in the beginning, like 4 5 years back, when I was understanding the concepts of project manager, how does it work? Because, like, I think 5 6 years back, I did not understand. I mean, I was not into it because I was working as a different. How do I say? I was working as a business analyst. I was working as a digital marketer. I have jumped plenty of domains, so which has helped me
Oh,
become more adaptable. So what I would do is when I first came into understanding of there's something called Jira. Not it's just not the masala. It's a project tools, right? Uh, uh, then the concepts of agile and waterfall. Then I try to make a scenario in my home itself. Like I would see that my father is like goes by the traditional recipes, that these are the steps A to be defined. I would go by this only. It will be done in 2 hours. There is no scope of negotiation, very little scope, right? But when I talk about my mother, she is more agile, wherein she will make the recipe, she can make the changes, building an MVP, a minimum viable product, so that make changes. So also the timelines are flexible, scope is flexible. You can approach her faster. So that way, when I made these kind of concepts in my head, it was very easy for me to understand it and explain it to other folks also. So they also found it very amusing. So when you gamify certain stuff, certain concepts, it is very easy. And every part of project I've been until now. What I do is initially I will, of course, I will just explain this to my manager that see I am just new to this project, so first I need to understand that what are the requirements, and in that case, even if it's not required to connect with all the team members or the stakeholders like who are involved, very involved in the project, I would set up KT sessions with them, understand the project from their point of view, also build a data glossary to understand these are the concepts or these are the terms that they use day in day out, so that I can also I can also keep a hang of it and start using it, right? And once I get those KTs and understand from, let's say, from a data engineer's perspective, the project would be different, right? They will be getting the data from the pipelines that they have build the architecture, follow a process, refine the data, and give us the output. From a data analyst perspective, understanding the data, collecting the right data, transforming it as per the stakeholders. From data scientist point of view, modeling it, generating insights. So understanding project from every team member's point of view, and noting down the key terms that they use or what work they do day in day out, help me even further. So this is what I did. So I mean, it's very genuine, right? When GenAI as a concept came across and people were scared that their job will, be taken up by GenAI.
correct.
So it's very right to be scared. A lot of people got scared, but instead of getting scared, it's very important for us to understand that what GenAI can do and how I can use it. So instead of getting afraid or getting feeling insecure, I would rather use it as my virtual assistant who can help me manage my tasks better. So like it's very popularly said, right? GenAI may not replace you, but someone using GenAI will. So if I
Yes.
don't adapt to the skills, right? If I don't adopt to the skills, someone will definitely replace me. They will be able to use it to their, they can, a GenAI can act as an intern, they can act as a project manager, they can also act as an assistant, correct? So, like I said, there's a tool called auto.ai. You just plug it in into your
Hmm.
teams, it will just generate the MOM for you. So you can focus on brainstorming, you can focus on analytical problem thinking, while that person can generate the insights whatever is discussed. So I believe it's very important for us to jump right into the trends, going through all the trends and technologies. And let's say if more than 100 people, 1,000 people are talking about a particular trend, you know that this is here. It's not just a fad and which will go away, but understanding that this is an important thing and how it can help me. For example, when I launched this course, GenAI for Consultant, I actually was struggling with finding a relevant course. Why? Because there were courses like GenAI in every day for everyone. So, which is very good, but for someone who has never used GenAI, for them that would be very easy to implement. And you understand, right? If I use let's say addition, subtraction, these are important
Hmm.
mathematical concepts, but it's important for someone who's in first class, second class. But someone who's in 12th,
Correct.
addition, subtraction is simple, right? But then again, if I talk about vectorization or I talk about calculus differentiation, someone who is in 10th class, that person may not need it. If I'm just going into commerce background, then probably I will not never need calculus and differentiation in my future. I would rather need accountancy, right? So in that case, when I searched, either it was too technical, either it was very simple. There was no course that was talking about how consultants can use GenAI, how probably
Wow.
project managers can use GenAI. So then I started searching for it. For me, what happened was when I was associated with a project which was into supply chain, it was into agricultural
Hmm.
supply chain. So it was very new for me. And as you know, working as a consultant, you are supposed to deliver from day one. You're supposed to understand it. And since I was working as an individual contributor, therein I did not have much folks from my company who will be working. So getting their time and understanding it was difficult. I was waiting, like there was a 1 week period wherein probably I just had two KT sessions. Rest I had to figure out myself. So that point of time, GenAI came in very handy. It became my best friend. I tried to understand, this is the domain, these are the challenges, this is what I got to understand. Let's say they used to share some notes, right? Some projects that or project scope documents that they've already built. So through that, I tried to understand the scope, understand the requirement, understand how it works from end to end. So when that point of time, it worked as a mentor for me to help me understand the domain. When I understood it better, then I could also jump in and I could also give all my expert insights and how to manage it better that way.
Wow. So maybe put it across, like something being as a threat to you, you have ensured that it becomes your friend in helping you,
Wow.
to move forward. So I mean, exactly on this whole thought that you shared, just wanted to hear from you your thoughts about, uh, the the future role of leaders, especially leaders evolving in the space, or maybe with the integration of AI. How do you look forward for the role of the mid-level leaders, ensuring that we are aware about this aspect of AI in and out? How do you look the future for these people going forward?
See, the future, when I talk about in terms of AI, it is very important for us to adapt it. And when I talk about adapting, I don't tell that, just understand the architecture, how it works and everything. But rather than that, there are plenty of podcasts which also talk about, AI in business, how are the practical applications of it. So what I believe is instead of, a year back, I would tell you, a year back, I came across some consultants and some business leader. They would say that AI will never replace me. It's so stupid. It's this, it's that. You don't need AI. You can just work on your instinct and everything. But a year back, I am seeing that they're only talking about some AI courses. So that's how it has changed. That's how AI has evolved. Pretty sure plenty of things AI can't do that we can do. For example, AI works on historical data to generate insights. But when you talk about brainstorming, coming up with ideas, there are times when AI hallucinates. But you, as a person, you can actually uh, go through all the existing applications, let's say in your domain, in other domain, and see how they are innovating and disrupting. And it can also help you. I mean, you can come across new ideas and you can validate with the use of AI. But it's not like, oh, I don't need AI, I don't use AI. But after a year, you see that because it has evolved so much that you also jump on the bandwagon. So uh, that's what I feel for the mid-level managers and everyone who's finding it very difficult right now, probably in terms of technical aspects. I just suggest that following the right AI leaders. For example, Andrew Ng is there. I'm sure you're aware of him. So in Twitter, in YouTube, going through their podcast, how do they simplify that? How do they break down the concepts and understanding that, and probably ensuring that how do I make it more relatable? How do I understand it in simpler context? If I'm able to explain the concept that I've learned to someone who's in fifth class, or to my parents or to my senior leaders who are not that much, how do I say, they are not
Tech
exposed to
savvy.
AI that much. Yeah, so who are not tech savvy, correct? So then, if I'm able to explain them the use cases of AI, if I'm able to convince them that how that will help them, then I think we've won the battle here. Because most of the times, in some cases, I've seen that they do not allow application or uses of AI. So in those cases, if you are able to uh, how quadrupolate, or we are able to tell them the benefits, how it can help, then slowly, breaking down the simpler concepts and how you can use it in your daily life can make you, more in sync with the new and current trends.
Absolutely. I completely agree on that. Maybe the last question for today's podcast is, what do you think? What are the challenges and opportunities in AI for, say, agile coaches or scrum masters, product owners, or any managers in future? So, what are the things that they can benefit from, and what are the things that they have challenges in maybe adopting in AI?
It's kind of a SWOT analysis, right? Like how identify the strengths, challenges, and
Wow.
opportunities. Right. So, well, the biggest challenge I would say would be the implementation cost. For example, some projects, of course, are AI ML enabled, but when I talk about the tech stack, when you are initially starting, or you are a part of a project who's already started, so they have already defined their tech stack, right? And that point of time, probably if you want to implement certain AI project management tools which can help you manage the projects, you might not be able to explain them the use cases, and probably they will say that why do we hire you if we can make use of that AI project management tools. So explaining the importance of those tools which can help you uh, manage the project better is, I think, one of the most challenging parts for a mid-level manager. But if you're able to explain and communicate better the importance, and also validate that why this cost is, you know it will actually generate
Justifying
revenue
the
and not
cost.
correct, sorry. Yeah, so justifying the cost is more important rather than just making them believe that they are spending lakhs and lakhs of money or nothing. So these are the two things that I believe are the challenges, right? When I talk about opportunities, in that cases, there are how do I use AI in daily life as a project manager? There are plenty of tools, right? ChatGPT is there, Claude is there, even Meta has come up with their,
Gemini.
no, Meta is
Gemini.
Llama. Gemini is Google.
Google,
And
yeah.
Meta has also, yeah, yeah. So Meta has come up with another chatbot which also does the same thing. So these kind of tools are there. When I talk about project management, Smartsheet is there, which also helps in gamifying the project management so that you can, tell them like the impact is this big or this huge, like a cube or something like that. So how you can visualize it, how you can make your project management more entertaining. Like, because what I feel as of now is when I talk about Scrum framework, when I talk about Agile frameworks, these are like it was built in 2000s, right? It was like long time back. So as of now, of course, it's evolving. If I go through Scrum Alliance and everything, but I mean, I went through one training very recently. So they were like, Agile will not, make you, complete the project in the stipulated timeline, but probably it will help you give feedback faster. That if you are failing, then we are failing faster, which I understand is okay, which is I understand is true. But then, if I talk about a scrum master, a person who's just a coach in the basketball court, they cannot enter, they cannot do anything apart from just managing the task. I believe these kind of things are not relevant for this current market. Why? Because let's say I just work as a project manager and I don't do anything else. That will make me irrelevant very faster, right? But
True.
apart from just being a project manager, I also, well, like I said, right, domain skills is very important. So how I can help the team members reach their goal faster? It is very much possible that we are on strict budget and timelines are strict. The team members are there, but one of the person is out of office. So how do I ensure that we as a team can work together and I can take some of their load to help them out? So normally, traditionally, probably I'm not supposed to do that, or I can't do that because I don't have the appropriate skill sets. But with the help of AI, probably I can manage things better. Um, they will be a developer or a software developer will be thinking from code's perspective. Data science will think from data science perspective. Data engineer will think about data problems. But as a project manager, I can actually understand from the end users point of view, stakeholders point of view, that what they are going through, and also have a broader perspective, which can also help me identify that how to prioritize things faster. If I understand the problem, if I understand the scope, if I understand the tech stack and the tech skills that my team members have, then I can actually understand that which features, if we build right now, is very much important and how I can help them. Probably I can help them with reviewing the incremental part that they have just built. Probably I can also help them with testing, because I will test as an end user. I need to understand if it's usable or not. So these kind of things, the AI helps us build that kind of opportunity. And also, when I talk about meetings, if having effective meetings, why? Because I'm talking with the person rather than I'm just taking down the important notes. I just have a heart-to-heart conversation with the person I'm having a meeting with. It can be a focus group meeting also. It can be a one-to-one meeting, but I focus on discussing the problems, discussing the opportunities. But and on the other hand, the AI that I have handy, for example, Otter AI, would help me take down the notes, take down the insights, and I can, go back to it later. Even the team members can go back to it later and also draw some more insights later on, which was not possible before, right? Because I would just take down
Right.
the most important notes. I might miss out on something very important, and people also forget, right? I've forgotten plenty of times. Like, I talked about something very important, but later on I can't remember what I told. And someone asked me, what did you talk about? I was like, okay, I also have to go back to it, right? So these kind of things, at least AI helps you remember every important details and helps you focus on problem solving and decision making, rather than just uh, you know output focused project wherein we are just trying to manage the timelines, the budget, and the schedules. Not just that right now.
Absolutely. I think this was a very good starter conversation, I would say, for anyone who wants to kind of upskill into this AI world. When I say anyone, the mid-level managers, the Scrum Masters or Agile Coaches, as in what all are the things that they can get into, apart from just working as the expertise in their own thing that they're doing. Apart from that, if they want to be, like you said, more relevant, at least for the team members also, right? So it's like if someone who is not aware of what is going on in the team, if that person is trying to get into the nitty-gritties of the things, no one will like it, right? Because they are like, you better get your stuff right and then maybe come to us. Though they may not say it directly on our face, but that is the fact, right? So instead of getting into that situation, if we kind of try to upskill ourselves on these many things, I think in this entire podcast, you have covered many such things. And even you have covered how do you get there, right? How can you start with your baby steps and how can you get there? So I think that's a good starter conversation for anyone who is looking out for how can they kind of make AI their friend and not get scared of it. So I think thank you so much, Ananya, for coming over and doing this podcast with us. It was a great conversation. I am definitely going back to refer quite a few things, and I'm also looking forward to your course on genAI. That is something that I'm not yet savvy about. So I'm definitely going to have a look into that course to have more learning. So thank you so much for coming over and doing this podcast with us.
Thank you so much for watching this episode patiently till the end. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll meet you again in the next episode. Till then, if you like our podcast show, then do like, share, subscribe, and let us know your feedback in the comment section. You can also listen to the episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. Thank you.